Like usual, if you guys could please turn your video on and then use the chat room for any questions for Coach, that would be greatly appreciated. Does anybody want to start us off, please? Coach, the first question comes from Jennifer Hammond from Fox 2 TV. You're on mute, Jennifer.
There it is. I was clicking it. Congratulations on the win today, Juwan. Can you just give me a sense? Do you feel like your team has yet to play its best basketball?
Thank you. I appreciate that. We're looking at it and like, there's always room for improvement. There's always how we can, areas we can grow at. And our guys have that type of growth mindset on what will we do better to. And I don't think it's ever a such thing as playing a perfect game. But, one possession at a time, competing for 40 minutes from start to finish, that's always been our mindset going into ball games.
Next up for you, Coach, is Dylan Jesperson from TV Sports.
Congrats on the win, Coach. Franz said after the Iowa game that you guys seemed to get better in the second half while a lot of teams seemed to get more tired. I wondered what you think is the key to that for your team.
We just want to play hard for 40 minutes, man. What happened this game in the first half, we were up 9. They made a tough 3 at the end of the first half, which would have probably gave us being up 12. But, we still look at it at halftime 0-0 in the scoreboard because we do not scoreboard watch. Each possession, no matter first half, second half, there's always great teaching moments. And the mistakes are going to be made. They're going to be good plays made. But overall, we try to make sure we focus in and playing the game the right winning way. And our guys have a beautiful mindset, like I stated earlier, on what's the next play? How can we, of course, lock in and stay engaged for that play to be able to get stops? And fortunate enough in the second half, we did a better job of playing offensively, moving the basketball. But in the second half, we did a poor job of guarding the basketball because not taking nothing away from Indiana, they took advantage of our defensive mistakes in the second half. That's how, they shot 50% from the field goal.
Next up is Orion Singh from the Detroit Free Press.
Juwan, Franz has 3 20-point games in your guys' past 4 games. How would you evaluate his overall performance since you guys came back from the break?
Man, Franz is playing extremely well, man. He's locked in. But it's no surprise. He was that way before the break. And all our guys are, not just singling out one individual. I know you asked about Franz, but our entire team has done a phenomenal job of how they handle themselves by having a long extended break that we had when that pause first started.
And with Franz, he kind of ended last season on a similar tear. Do you see things playing out the same way right now?
I don't predict the future. I don't know how. But I would just say this, that I just hope that we all can just stay healthy, man. It's a critical part of the season right now, staying healthy.
We'll go to Brendan Quinn from The Athletic.
Hey, Juwan. Can you kind of tell me what you've seen from Mike in terms of his ability to call his own number at opportune times when you guys really need a bucket?
Yeah, Mike, he's had those habits of, being with Columbia, he was the primary scorer and, he shoots the ball extremely well. He still has that scoring mentality and aggressiveness that at times I don't want him to feel that he has to take a back seat. Read the game, read those opportunities when you have open shots or when we need you to be aggressive and make plays for yourself and others. And that's been, what I've shared with him from day one. Now, to Mike's credit, he has an unselfish nature about him and also a high IQ of understanding what he has on the roster of other talented guys. So, typically you'll see a guy when you have Isaiah Livers, Franz Wagner, Hunter Dickinson, and Eli Brooks, sometimes you start to defer. I said to Mike, hey, we need you too. So you read it, but be aggressive out there.
So have there been times when watching film together or whatever, where maybe you see, defense is going under screens and he's not shooting that you're telling him, like, you got to call your own number in that spot and stuff like that?
Well, I'm telling him more of reading, the defense, and whatever the defense does is wrong. But read the game and stay aggressive out there, because your offensive, energy as well as your offensive production is much needed in order for us to move the needle.
Gotcha. Thanks, Juwan.
Yep.
Next up is Bob Wojnowski from the Detroit News.
Hey there, Juwan. Of all the fine qualities on this team, it seems to be the balance between, any of the five guys on the court can score. Offense and defense seem equally effective. Am I reading that right? And is that by design, that you want everybody to be able to score, everybody to be able to defend?
I want everyone to be able to defend.
Right.
So that's the most important thing. We're going to score. We're going to generate a lot of our offense from our defense. But defensively, we can't have anyone taking any plays off. This league is just too damn good. And anytime you, of course, try to take a breath and relax on defense, teams will make you pay. Kids are just so damn skillful right now because they work on it. Now, offensively, we have an offense that's predicated on sharing the game. And I'm not going to break it down to you because it'll take me a long time. I have to show you film too. So I don't know if you have time for me to show you film on what share the game means within our offense. But
I have the time.
Based on like being unselfish, and our group is extremely unselfish. And it's, what's the beauty of coaching too is, like, my staff would agree with this, is each and every day of practice, we focus on player development and helping our guys become the best versions of themselves.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Next up is Nick Mantis from WLNS.
Coach, again, congrats on the win. As you were mentioning in the first half, as well as just now, you were also saying that there were some big teaching moments that you saw throughout this game. What specifically were you trying to make sure what message were you able to send to the guys when it came to those teaching moments in this game?
No, there's always teaching moments, and also teaching moments, not just for me sharing the message to them, but it's teaching moments from me learning from my players. There's timeouts where we have, and I'll ask them questions on what do they think, because there's some situations out there in the game that I may be looking and seeing that I see it from a different lens, but they're out there competing and they may see it from a different lens, and it might be the right way. And I just sit back and I go with sometimes what their input is. And because it's a total collective team effort, we have to collaborate on if we want to have a year of, in a culture of winning. And that's what it's all about. We're going to make mistakes. They're going to make mistakes. I'm going to make mistakes. But every moment is going to be a teaching moment for the player and coach.
Next up is Zach Shaw with the Michigan Insider.
Hey, Juwan, what impressed you the most about how your team handled the really just one day off? And as a coach, what were some of the biggest challenges you wanted to overcome on such a short turnaround?
Well, starting the first part of your question, I've been, really impressed with how our guys have been very, and I have to use a professional word, but also they act like they're professionals in a sense, sometimes better than some of the professionals that I've been able to work with for the last 6 years. And then also some teammates that I've been around for 19 years. Our kids, and let me correct myself by saying kids, I'm saying like our young men has really done a fabulous job of, understanding like, how to take care of their bodies. Eating is important, sleep is important. Also, I'm trying to do the best I can as far as preserving their energy with all this quick turnaround and not wearing them down in practice, but feed them with a lot of information when it comes to the prep on film and also on walkthroughs. And I've been impressed on how they've responded. Today, this game was, emphasized on energy. I didn't want, we feel like we can just walk in here and think we can get a win. I knew Indiana would be prepared and they were going to come out with a ton of energy from start to finish. And they have a great coach, and he watched film like I do. But our guys, knew it was emphasized on we got to be ready from the jump ball, and they were ready from jump ball.
Next up is Andrew Kahn from M Live.
Hi, Juwan. You were talking before about, guys being two-way players. I was wondering if you could speak to that process over your 2 years here with Isaiah in particular, a guy who was more of a three-point shooter early in his career and now is doing a lot more things and defending. He had 10 rebounds today, things like that.
Well, no offense, Andrew, but, Isaiah is not just a three-point shooter. Oh, he's a guy that has really shown that he's a skillful guy that can do many things with the basketball, whether it's driving to make a play for himself or others, knocking down open shots, rebounding, defending. He's what a two-way player is all about. And I love the fact that he has embraced that role and worked at it. And there are going to be some times where you get pushed, where you get uncomfortable, but he's embraced the idea of getting uncomfortable. And, he's grown a lot year after year. And that's what you do when you're game by game, year after year. You find ways to get better, but he's done a great job of evaluating himself on what areas he wants to improve on. And he's worked at it. And I've just been impressed with his production all season. But now that it's 2 years, I love to keep him. I don't know how long it's going to be. I don't know if you're ever going to come back. Give me another year, Zay.
Thanks.
Next up is Teo Mackey from umhoops.com.
Hi, Juwan. You've talked about energy today and throughout the season. Where did you learn how to instill that energy in your team? Because not every coach has that ability.
I didn't sit on my hands when I was an assistant with the Miami Heat. I sat there and I learned. But then, as a player, when I played the game, I had some really great coaches that I played for. And I'll go through them really quickly. I played for a guy by the name of Jim Lino, Bernie Bickerstaff. Then it went from Jeff Van Gundy, Doc Rivers. I also played for Larry Brown, Don Nelson, and Eric Spoelstra. Those are some Hall of Fame coaches I just named. And so I picked up a lot of learning from how they coached me to, if I ever want to get in the game of basketball, keep those mental notes and see, what works and what did not work. And there are times when I learned for what not to do too. And it's been a collective effort, but I've been like a sponge, man. I got two guys in here waiting to answer some questions. Franz is here and Isaiah.
Yep, we got a couple more for you, Coach.
I'm about to pass the baton.
We got a couple more for you, James.
I'll go with one more, then I'll let these guys get in here. We got to get back home.
Okay, James Hawkins from the Detroit News.
Hey, John, quick one for you. I'm not sure if you're aware, but this was a milestone win for the four-year players like Isaiah, Eli, Austin, CJ, Luke. It's their 100th career win at Michigan. Can you just speak to the impact they've had on this program's success during your 2 years here?
Man, these guys have done an amazing job of representing the Block M. I'm just, happy to be a part of it. I've been a fan of watching it from afar and seeing, guys like Xavier Simpson, John Teskey, Isaiah Livers, Eli Brooks, Austin Davis. They've done an amazing job of just, representing what this Michigan, vision, what this Michigan experience is all about. And so now it's their turn to pass the torch to the youngins. And the youngins I'm speaking of is the Dickersons of the world and the Terrence Williams Jr. and Zeb Jackson and Jace Howard, letting them know what this culture is all about. And so they can, of course, share this knowledge with our incoming freshmen.
Okay, Coach, thank you.
Stay safe.